All right. So the other day I did a Mortal Kombat tier list, and I thought about doing a Tekka one, and then I did it. And then as I was doing it, I thought about doing a Dead or Alive one and a Summer one. I thought, yeah, you know what? Let's just keep these going because I feel like it. Um, so again, this tier list is just one random dude's opinion. And it was definitely harder to do because I actually like a lot of Tekken games. With Mortal Kombat, I think I was just more of a fan of the lore. There were quite, definitely a few games I liked, obviously, but with Tekken, I liked a lot more of the games. But I'm gonna start with Tekken One. That might seem a little harsh, but um, I love that it's the first game like Mortal Kombat One. I love that it's the originator and the innovator. And if it wasn't for Tekken One, we wouldn't have Tekken Tag or any other good Tekken games, right? Um, so I love it for that, but you'll never, you're not gonna see me go back and play that game. It's rough. It's rough. Uh, Tekken 2 is a little bit better because it definitely expanded on everything, more characters, better music, better presentation. Loved the announcer. He was hype. I miss hype Tekken announcers. Uh, before they got the cool guy to do the voice. Back in the day, they had this hype dude, and I miss that. Fighting games should be hype, man. That's what they are. Except for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Sometimes a franchise can break the rules, but generally speaking, fighting game music and sounds and everything should be hype around the fighting game. But Tekken 2, it definitely is better than 1, but it's still a sign of the time. It's still rough around the edges. It's like a 2.5D fighting game, technically. 1 and 2 was actually a 2.5D fighting game, if you guys didn't know that. But they were rough. They were really rough. Uh, but hey, they kept going and never gave up, and now we have some of the best fighting games ever because of it. So I can't even hate on it. But if you were, I mean, if I were to go back and play these games, which I did with Tekken 2 once, it's not good times. Three, three makes a huge leap because it's it again it just did so much more right. For me, Tekken 3 is like Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. They did so much right and became the image of what that franchise was, right? Like 1 and 2 were cool. 2 definitely started to do that, and then 3 definitely did that in Mortal Kombat. And the same thing with Tekken, right? Now Tekken, it wasn't as big of a jump. Like Tekken just kind of started. It was always Tekken, right? But 3 was what just it solidified it in everybody's minds, and it became the 3D fighter it was meant to be, um, by being an actual 3D fighter this time. And it was amazing. And till this day, I can go back and pick this game back up, turn this sucker on, but push buttons, and it'll still feel good. These games you go back to, and it's like, oof. This game you can still go back and play it and enjoy it. That's why it got such a big jump. I mean, they did so much for Tekken as a franchise, and it's still fun to go back and play. Which is I feel is it's why it's fair that it's in this in the quadrant. Um, I might do what I did last time. Do the tier list and then do like a quick little run through of ratings. I'll probably do that as well. You're probably going to see a lot of similar ratings. It's not going to be as a wider range as it was with Mortal Kombat, because I liked a lot of Tekken games. So then we got Tekken Tag, which is an S because, in my opinion, it's one of the best Tekken games ever made. It took everything that was building up to it. It took everything that Tekken 3 did right, and then just kept amplifying it, kept amplifying it. Even better music, even better presentation, even better roster, even better gameplay, even it was just it did everything more. It was everything we loved about Tekken, but more, 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 more. And God, we missed it. We missed those days. Lord knows I do. Um, and I don't know why I threw that one in there. I'm gonna have to come back to that one. That was the. Oops. Okay, so I'm gonna do Tekken. You know what I should have done? There we go. I got these all lopsided. Uh, Tekken Advance. Okay, so Tekken Advance, for a Game Boy Advance fighting game. Let's remember that Game Boy Advance fighting games aren't great. They just weren't. But if you look at it on like a Game Boy Advance kind of fighting game situation, Tekken Advance is probably one of the best. Probably one of the best. I mean, right? Of course, right along there with the Street Fighter Turbo remake was decent. You know, there were some decent, Street Fighter Alpha. There were some decent fighting games on the DS. Guilty Gear, King of Fighter. There were some decent ones, but I mean, it was still a two-button fighter technically, right? So it was kind of but they weren't horrible. And Tekken Advance was not horrible. I mean, it's jank because it's it's a 3D fighting game on a freaking Game Boy Advance, but it wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. It definitely could have been worse. You know, it definitely could have been worse. Um, I definitely play this over games like freaking, you know, Tao Fame, right? Or hell, I'll play before these two. It really wasn't that bad, considering, right? Considering. All right, so I should now be. There we go. So Tekken 4, I put it in B because one, I do have to give it credit for a lot of things. You know, again, awesome presentation, right? Moving forward, Tekken and its awesome presentation at this point. Uh, you know, good music. I still feel Tekken Tag had a better soundtrack, but four was decent. And a decent roster. It was trying to kind of start fresh, and for a game that was trying to start fresh after something like Tag, it wasn't a bad roster. It really wasn't. Um, Trying to think what else. I mean, oh, didn't it had another um, Tekken Force mode kind of situation? So that was dope too. Story was cool. The only real issue was for me the gameplay. It's not a bad fighting game. Definitely not a bad fighting game. I would definitely play Tekken 4 over Tekken 2 and Tekken 1 any day. Um, and honestly, I'd play Tekken 4 over Tekken Advance. Because Tekken Advance was cool, but Tekken 4 is obviously a superior fighting game. But when you play a game like Tekken 4 up against games like Tekken Tag, Tekken 3, Tekken 5, like this is my issue. Okay, my main character in Tekken 3 is Ling Xiaoyu and Jin. I believe it's about the same in Tekken Tag. I do play other characters. I like Bruce is dope. You know, Eddie and friggin' Tiger are dope. Um, but for the longest time back in the day, I used to main Jin and Xiaoyu and had June in the pocket, just to kind of switch her out because I really love June is dope. But when in this example, I'm gonna go with Xiaoyu, right? Because I also play Nina and other characters, but I'm just gonna go with Xiaoyu in this case because Xiaoyu is definitely in all three, right? I can do Xiaoyu's combos in this game just fine. I can do Xiaoyu's combos in this game just fine. But this game, I drop all her combos. Same thing with Nina. Same thing with a couple other characters. I tried to play Eddie Gordo, or Christy, whoever it was in this one. Um, I kept dropping my combos in this game, and then I'll go back to these games and be like, okay, I know what I'm doing, right? Because I could do the combos in these games. But when I play 4, I kept dropping those combos, and it was just, again, it wasn't a bad game. it just felt a bit slower and a little bit clunkier than these two. Still a solid fighting game though. Still a solid fighting game. Lord knows there are far worse fighting games in the PS2 era, especially 3D fighting games. So, definitely not a bad fighting game. Just there were definitely better Tekken games. And then let me move some stuff around real quick. Okay, so while I do that, let me go to the next one, which is Tekken 5. Tekken 5 again did just it keeps expanding. It keeps doing more and more and more. Tekken 5 looked dope. It had an awesome intro, amazing intro. I liked the roster a lot more in 5 than I did in 4 also. Um, again, Tekken 5 as a game felt better to play than Tekken 4 in my opinion. Um, the level designs and music was better in my opinion in Tekken 5 than Tekken 4. Um, again, Tekken 4 is not a bad game. I just felt Tekken 5 was better. And I also felt Tekken Dark Resurrection was better. And normally I don't do updates like that, but and even if it was, I would do like I wouldn't do Tekken 5. You get what I'm saying. But the reason why I did this was is almost they're all, it's hard to explain, but it almost felt like a different game. You know, better combos, better move lists, better, but even the better roster, right? More awesome characters. I remember when I first saw Lily, I was like, that's not a Tekken character. And then I actually ended up making her my main character in Tekken Dark Resurrection. Anyway, you know, so yeah, I think that's fair. I think for me personally, I feel right about. I feel this is perfect. Where it is. And the next one is Tekken 6. Okay, so Tekken 6. I liked Tekken 6. I really did. I don't remember having too much of a gripe with Tekken 6. I actually enjoyed the scenario campaign mode. It was a fun little silly beat 'em up mode that I one anybody who knows me knows the one thing I like more than fighting games is loot, and Tekken 6 technically has loot. Technically, if when you're playing scenario campaign mode, as you beat people up and find secrets, etc., etc., open up chests, etc., etc., you'll be unlocking. You'll find loot, which is like the customizable items in Tekken 6. Tekken 5 started the character customization in this franchise. Right? We know there were Virtua Fighter started the character customization uh, in 3D fighting games, and we'll just stick with 3D fighting games right now. We know that Virtua Fighter started character customization in 3D fighting games. I'm just saying Tekken 5 started it within the franchise, right? This is the first time Tekken starts doing customization, character customization. And then, of course, Dark Resurrection expanded on it, and then Tekken 6 just took it in a different direction. Um, that okay, I forgot what I was talking about. Tekken 6, what was it? Character customization. Tekken 6 um, took character customization in a different direction. That had its ups and downs, but still, the game overall kind of expanded. Expanded on the roster, expanded on, had pretty decent music, great presentation. It felt new. It still felt like Tekken, but it felt new, and I enjoyed it. Personally, I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people had negative things to say about it, but as a game, I enjoyed it. Um, it's definitely a game I could see myself going back and playing because it's I don't know it was still a good game, and I actually enjoyed the scenario campaign mode. I thought it was fun and funny, and it technically has loot, which is the character customization items instead of unlocking them normally, which you can. That's the best part. You can unlock them normally, or unlock them through um, the scenario campaign mode. The reason why I call it loot is because it drops like loot, but also they're like different rarities that have different effects and things that only take effect in scenario campaign mode. But see, it's options like that, right? Options like that, like you know, that's the kind of stuff that I wish Nether Realms would pay attention to. You know, I feel Tekken 6 did it right. And there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and knock this one out real quick. Tekken 3D Prime Edition is probably definitely jumping ahead a little bit, but um, I'm gonna put it here because it wasn't a bad core. Like just the core gameplay wasn't bad. It was only bad because it was on the 3DS and the 3DS buttons aren't made for Tekken. Um, but if we can get past that, it's. I think it was basically like a stripped down version of Tekken 6, basically, if I remember correctly. I think that's what it was. Which isn't a bad thing because that's what the PSP version of Tekken 6 was. This was just kind of redesigned and then had the movie packaged with it. But it wasn't a horrible game, but it definitely isn't my favorite. You know, it's not like an amazing Tekken game either. It's very very, you know, decent. It's very very decent. Definitely better than Tekken Advance. Um, and technically, I would argue it's better than Tekken 4 gameplay wise, but the fact that it's just a stripped down version of Tekken 6 that we've already had, and it came out for the 3DS, just all that weird crap combined, and the fact that they made a game for the 3DS and they made a game for the Wii U, but now refuse to release anything Tekken on the Switch, kind of leaves me a little bit salty. So it definitely goes behind Tekken 4, because Tekken 4 didn't make any of those mistakes. And then let's see. Okay, so yeah, and I'm gonna take a quick moment just to do the some of these little side games. Tekken Card Tournament, honestly, was fun, and if they didn't cancel it, I would probably still be playing it. And I actually liked it so much that I even went online and got a box of the physical cards that I still have, and we'll probably keep till I don't know, till forever. And then Tekken Mobile was okay. It felt a lot like these games, right? They're okay. They're all right. They're not horrible. Uh, you know, they're alright. You know, but it got canceled too. So, all right. Now Tekken Revolution. I'm trying to remember. Oh, okay. I'm trying to remember why I put it so far back. I remember now. So Tekken Revolution, again, not a bad game. Core gameplay, probably play it above these guys. But what keeps it down is that one, the thing was never designed to last. It was never designed to exist for very long, which I think is kind of whack. It was meant to be an online only game. It was free to play, but you had limitations for how many times you could play a match. And you had to pay to increase your amount of times you're able to play. It was a horrible idea for a fighting game. Even a fighting game using mobile tactics, it was a horrible idea. You don't do that for a fighting game. Come on now. And that's why it goes way back here. If it wasn't for those, like the way the characters were unlocked, I was okay with. It seemed a little bit random, but it's fine. It wasn't that big a deal. If they would just reduce it a little bit so there's not as much grind, it would have been fine. And the core gameplay was not bad in my opinion. I thought it was pretty good. The little red moves that everybody had that were almost invincible. People complained about those, But if you knew somebody was spamming it, all you would have to do is watch for it, block and punish, because those moves were very punishable, very punishable. Um, but yeah, if it didn't make the weird business tactics that it did, it would have had a higher place on my tier list. But because of all that bullcrap, and the fact that it doesn't exist anymore because of all that bullcrap, is why it goes back here. Because the game, if it still existed in some form or fashion, I'd still play because it was still fun. But if they found a way to just do it offline, which I know they could have, but they choose not to. Tekken Tag Tournament 2, I put it up there because, like Tekken Tag, is the ultimate celebration of all things Tekken, and I love it for that. That's what it's a huge, you know, celebration of Tekken, and if I feel like these two games cared so much about more about their fans than a lot of fighting games do. Let's be honest. It felt so good playing these games. Um, it's an experience. It's hard to explain. Um, but yeah, I feel like these deserve their spots. Tekken Tag 2 didn't get the love that it deserved. And I get it. Not every game is gonna have the kind of gameplay you like, but I like Tekken Tag. Tekken Tag and Tekken Tag 2 are both dope. Uh, Now, of course, I will easily put Tekken Tag before Tekken Tag 2, mainly because Tekken Tag is, it's like Mortal Kombat 2, right? Like, even though it was almost that perfect game, almost, right? I feel Trilogy was better, just more fun generally, but 2 was almost that perfect Mortal Kombat game, almost, right? And I feel like Tekken Tag was almost that. Tekken Tag was like that, just that perfect embodiment of what Tekken was and why we love Tekken. And I feel like Tekken Tag 2 did that. Maybe made it a little bit too um, convoluted. I will admit that. But if it had the tag mode more similar to tag, with just a little bit more polish or a little bit whatever, it would have been amazing. It would have been amazing. But it's still my favorite. These are still my favorite Tekken games of all time. They just it just seems again like it's hard to not love, be a Tekken fan and not love when a company celebrates everything that you love so much about Tekken. It's hard not to love that, and I feel like these do that the best in my opinion. Um, then you had the Wii U version of Tekken Tag 2 that had Tekken Ball, which I'm still mad they didn't port that to the Switch. I'll even take this sucker. I'll even take this weird dude here. You just a game and put it on Switch, or take whatever Tekken Revolution was and put it on the Switch. I would take that happily. Give us something, anything. Anyway, and last but not least, Tekken 7. I like Tekken 7. I do. And I can always come back to Tekken 7 and enjoy it. I know there are people who don't, but I do. Every time I go into Tekken 7, I have so much fun. Every single time. I pick a character that I like and I just have fun. And I do have that fun. I think the only thing that kind of brings it down are, some of the business decisions that they did make. I get it. I understand it. I respect it. But it does make me sad at the same time. you know? It hurts a little bit. It's hard to explain. It's just sign of the times. It's just the way it is. You gotta accept it. The beautiful thing is, there will always be a way to play these. Well, not this one, and not this one, and not this one, but all the other ones. There will always be a way to play these games. That's the beautiful thing about it. You know. Yeah, Mortal Kombat 11 makes me sad, but there's still I can still play Mortal Kombat 9. I can still play Mortal Kombat 10. You know, um, Noctis and Megan and Tekken makes me sad, but I can still play, Tekken 6 and Tekken Tag and Tekken Tag 2, and I can still play all the other Tekken games, just not these three here, because they're all canceled. But you can still play this game, right? It's on the 3DS, so and all the other games you can still play these games, right? There are ways to get in. What was it? Like I said, Tekken 5 had arcade perfect versions of Tekken 1, 2, and 3. You know, uh, I want to say Tekken. I want to say PlayStation. Well, you probably can't get it now on the PlayStation 3, but I think there was a time where you could buy Tekken 1 and Tekken 2 on the PS3. They just didn't do 3 because freaking gone. But you can play 3 on the Tekken 5. So there's that. Yeah. But yeah, maybe one day they'll release a Tekken collection, and that would be awesome. But until then, we have Tekken 7, and honestly, like I said, I still enjoy Tekken 7. Um, and I still enjoy Tekken 6 and Tekken Dark Resurrection and Tekken Tag and Tekken Tag 2 and Tekken 3. But yeah, I feel good about this list. As you can see, a lot of the games are really close together now. Right? It's not like Mortal Kombat like these. It's like, and they're mostly in A and S and A and B. Because I like Tekken. I like Tekken a lot. Um, I'm thinking I'm gonna do Dead or Alive next, and then Soul Calibur. Um, because I like Soul Calibur, but I think I have a little bit more of a history with Dead or Alive than I do Soul Calibur. But yeah, I think I'm gonna do for sure. I'm gonna do a Dead or Alive one for sure. Um, I'm very interested in what the future of Tekken holds. I'm sure they're gonna do another one. Tekken 7 just did too well. I'm sure it'll be a lot like Tekken 7 in a lot of ways. And I I just hope there's June, really. That's all. That's all I ask. Just give me June, man. Just give me June, and you can put freaking I don't know, freaking uh, Bayonetta and Tekken. I don't care. Just give me freaking June. That's all I ask.